Hey there, crew. We are going to work with clay three-dimensionally today. So we're going to first start with some clay vocabulario from your sketchbook. So vocab words: pinch pot, a simple form created by making an opening in a ball of clay with your thumb, pinching and pressing all the way around to make a bowl shape. I'll show you how to do that soon. Then, scratch and attach. In order to get pieces of clay to stick together, you gotta make texture marks on both pieces with a tool. Think of like making a tic-tac-toe board or checkerboard, texture marks. And then add water to each piece like glue. Once you scratch and attach, you will smooth out with your finger or a tool so it starts to look like one piece instead of two pieces that you put together. Then, we're also going to show you a relief sculpture. So this type of sculpture is flat on one side, so flat on the back, and built up three-dimensionally on the other side. And then you could also use symbols, which are images used to represent something else or something bigger. So use your clay vocab in your sketchbook, and then we're going to get working with the clay itself. If you do not have clay, which I use Amico air dry clay, I think it's a really good product and it is very similar to regular clay. If you don't have access to Amico, they do have a Crayola brand of air dry clay. If you don't have air dry or don't want air dry, you could also get modeling clay. So modeling clay does not dry out and you can't paint it, but you could sculpt something and you could continue adding stuff to it forever. Or you could kind of smush it and keep making more stuff. And believe it or not, the modeling clay that I get in the classroom even started out as the three primary colors: amarillo yellow, rojo red, azul blue. But of course, when people mix and mush it all together, it ends up being a brownish gray neutral clay like natural clay. So just another proof: primary colors all mixed together makes mud. So you could use modeling clay, or you could use any other three-dimensional material to create a sculpture. Or if you don't want to do it 3D or don't have any materials around the house, just draw it or paint it any way you want. So I'm going to start by making a pinch pot. If you remember from A Cup for Everyone, Puka the Penguin, he was in that cup shop, and man, oh man, he was really good at making pots and then adding details to make it look like an animal. So you take your first hunk of clay. It's all weird right now, but you got to smooth it into a nice smooth ball or a sphere. A three-dimensional circle is a sphere. So you just kind of, in your hand, mold it and roll it around. You could even do a little rolling on the table, but we make a nice round, smooth ball like that. Then you're going to hold it in your non-dominant hand. So for me, I'm a righty, so I'm going to pinch and press with my right hand. The ball is going to be held in my left hand. Then with your dominant hand's thumb, so for me, my right thumb, I'm going to push right through the center, but not all the way. You don't want to make a donut. You just want to be able to hold it on your thumb like that. So not all the way through. You got to keep a bottom to your pot. When your thumb is on the inside, your other fingers go onto the outside, and you pinch and you press and you go all the way around with even pressure on all sides, because if you had one side super thin and one side super thick, well, it wouldn't be very balanced. The thick side would topple over, or the thin side would be so thin it would break apart, and you'd be gluing your pot till the end of time. So try to keep it even on both sides. If it's not even, just smush it all together and roll a new ball and start again, because practice is actually a good thing. So you could practice first and then roll it into a ball to make a final copy pinch pot. If it's not really balanced once you pinch it, my little tip is very gently on your table or messy mat, tap, 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 and now it's flat on the bottom and will sit perfectly. Then, with extra clay, you can start sculpting heads or wings or tails or really anything you want to your pinch pot. I'm going to start with a relief slab. So I want to start with a little piece of clay. I'm going to roll it into a ball, because you always start with a nice smooth ball. If it's all weird and crackly and yucky, you won't be able to make very good forms or sculptures. So always start in a smooth ball. Then I'm going to press it in my hands to make kind of a hamburger. Once it's a hamburger, you can use a rolling pin or just your hand to press and flat so it's not a burger, but kind of more of a pancake. Not too thick, not too thin. And you always want to be able to pull it up off your messy mat. If you can't pull it up, don't sculpt till you know you can pull it up off the mat, because if you can't pull it up off the mat, all your hard work will go away, because it'll be stuck to the table, it'll break apart, it'll be a mess. So always make sure you can pull that slab up off the table. Then you can draw into that slab to make the shape of your character's head. So it doesn't have to be an animal, but if you want it to be, it can. I might actually do like a toucan. So I might not want a perfect oval, but it wouldn't be too bad. I might just come down a little bit, carve a shape, maybe a spike at the top, and then I can pull away that extra. So now I have the shape of my head. I might make that spike a little bit more pronounced there. There we go. And then I might even pinch to make it a little more spiky for some hairs up on the top of his head. I might even make the center one a little taller and twist for some texture. I'll twist them all, that's kind of fun. Alright, so again, a relief sculpture is flat on one side and built up three-dimensionally on the other. So the back will be my flat, the front will be 3D. So I'm actually going to just use the extra clay I cut away. I'm going to make a beak. So I'm going to roll it into a smooth ball like always first. Then I'm just going to make a mini coil or a mini snake in my hand. I just roll back and forth. I don't want it too thick or too thin, so a little thinner for me. Then I'm going to pinch and press the end into almost a point and a curve, and that will be my toucan's beak. If you want it to be open, you could pinch and press another shape or sculpt another shape. Then I want to make the back flat so it can be attached to my flat head. So I'm going to tap, 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 just like before. Now it's flat on the end. And now I'm going to show you that scratch and attach technique you may remember. But again, I'm using a sharp pointy needle tool. You could use a toothpick or even a plastic fork or something like that. I'm going to go horizontal first, vertical next to make a tic-tac-toe checkerboard texture. Can't really see it, but back and forth. You can't pick favorites, so you got to do it to both sides. So where I want my beak is about 2/3 of the way down. So I'm going to do some crisscross there as well with the tool. I don't know if you can see it. Then that's the scratch. Now for the attach. You're going to use a wet finger, so I have some water nearby. Wet finger, tap on the beak, tap on the head or whatever you want, and gently smoosh. You don't want to Hulk smash it or it's going to destroy your hard work. Once it's gently pressed, you can use a wet finger or a wet tool to smooth it out. If you don't smooth it out, it might fall off. It might also just look funny because it won't be a nice smooth transition and it'll look like two pieces instead of one. We want it to look like all one piece of a sculpture. So, very good. And you could sculpt eyes or something. For time's sake, I'm just going to draw them in with my tool. Alright? And if you make a mistake, have no fear. Use a wet finger to erase. That eye's gone now. So, never be afraid of making mistakes. It's just happy accidents, and you can always change it into something else. I might even give some eyelashes and texture marks to this little toucan head. I might even add some texture to the beak. Alright, I'm taking too much time. Alright, now I want to attach this to my pinch pot. So the front would kind of be where the head would go, and then I could add wings or a tail to the back and sides. So I don't want the head right here. I want it some of it poking up out of the top. So I'm only going to do crisscross scratch on the bottom half of the head and near the top of the pinch pot. So I'll show you real quick. Scratch, scratch, scratch. And again, got to do it to both sides. Scratch, scratch, scratch. Water on both, because the water and the texture acts as glue for that clay to stick together. gently press, and then you see that like awkward transition there. It looks like two pieces, not really one. So I'm going to use a wet finger or wet tool. I'll start with a tool, and I'm going to smooth that out into the pinch pot so it's a nice smooth transition. So I get the sides, I get the bottom. I'm also going to get the back where it attaches as well. Not only is this more secure and much less likely to fall off, but it also just looks a lot better. So I'm going to use wet tool, wet finger, smooth it out. I'm going super fast. I want you to take your time, of course, and then pause video as needed so you can get it nice and smooth and attached. And again, if you ever have cracks or weird texture or a weird groove or something, you can always just use a wet finger to smooth it out. Boom. And now it's more of a smooth transition. And you can make it even smoother if you press more of it in for an even more gradual transition from pot to the head. Alright, once that's attached, look how it's not balanced because I put something on the head. I would have to add wings or a tail to make sure it's balanced and would stay upright. Or you could be really kooky and surreal and add a second head off the back. Maybe you have a two-headed animal. Again, you're the boss, you're creative. So I might mesh two animals and do almost a peacock tail on a toucan head. So again, creative, unique, use whatever comes to your mind first. So I might press a slab. I might cut different shapes. So I might have to make another slab to make another peacock feather. And I could scratch and attach different layers and different feathered shapes to the back so that it would balance. And another tail could just be a long coil. So in your hand you could roll kind of a snake, tappy tap tap the end, or better yet, you could just cut off the end with a tool. So it would be flat and you could scratch and attach. You could even twist a tail so it stays up, or you could have it sit on the ground and curl like that. That way it would add extra balance. But again, scratch, attach, and smooth out as best you can. It's already a little more balanced, and I didn't even scratch and attach it yet. So once you have done that, you can add texture and details with your tools. You can carve it, or you could just let it dry and then add paint when you're done. If you have extra clay, you might even want to make a little treasure or sculpture that could go inside your pinch pot. And I'll show you my examples here too. So I love the story of Puka the penguin, and I also love toucans. So I made a toucan pinch pot. You can see I added texture with the tools and with the paint. I scratched and attached. I smoothed out. I even added different colors on the inside, like tints and shades, and it's balanced. I also made a treasure, a little Puka the penguin that could sit inside my pinch pot. So that is one treasure I did, but I also like safari animals. So I made a lion, and again a tail. This one's a little smaller than my toucan, and again a relief sculpture, flat on the back, pops out in the front. And then instead of a little lion cub, I wanted to make a little tiger cub. And guess what? I used contrast because I used orange tiger with blue stripes. So blue and orange are complementary colors. So I'm using different elements and principles of design all at once to make a pinch pot, a little treasure, relief sculpture, all in one. Then, if you have extra clay and extra time, you can also make a relief sculpture or an ornament of some kind. So I will show you again. Roll it into a ball, press it into a hamburger, then roll it into a pancake. Before you start sculpting or drawing in, remember, pull that slab up off your messy mat to make sure it's not stuck. Then you could start by making a hole somewhere near the top, not too close to the top, because if it's too close to the top it might break. So I would say almost even a centimeter from the top or edge. And then with your pokey tool, you can just go round and round and round. You can clean up some of those edges with a wet finger. Oh, there's still one stuck in there. I'll take it out. Make sure you can see through the hole. You don't want it too thin or not all the way through to the other side. So I can see the pokey tool through there, so I know the hole's big enough. So when it's dry, I could put fishing line or string or yarn or wire through there as a loop, and then I could tie it up into a knot at the end, and it could be a hanging ornament. So again, just like before, like with my little toucan head, you could draw into it. If you don't like it, you can erase it with a wet finger. You could sculpt and scratch and attach things on top of it, and then when it's hanging, it would be coming out three-dimensionally but flat on the back. You could also write the year or your name on the back, so I could carve it in. So I could write Mr. Gove and the year, or you could just wait till it's dry and paint it on, or you don't even have to do that at all. It's up to you. And again, if you don't like it, just erase. No need to start over. So, pause this video as needed, rewind as needed, and I hope that you can use your knowledge of pinch pots, making slabs and forms and scratching, attaching, smoothing out, maybe some relief sculpture as well, maybe make a little treasure. But again, always ask questions if you need it, and then when it's dry, you can add paint. If you don't have clay, don't worry, you can use other sculpture materials and your creativity to do just that. So have fun. I cannot wait to see what you come up with. Adios, amigos.